Hello everyone, my name is Gott. Today I want to share some knowledge about a very special bird that you may see here in Acadia National Park. However, often you will hear this bird's call long before you ever see it. The naturalist John Muir describes its call as one of the wildest and most striking of all the wilderness sounds. A strange, sad, mournful, unearthly cry, half laughing, half wailing. John Muir was describing the call of the common loon, a bird that was threatened and hunted during his time. Unfortunately, even today, the loon faces many threats at the hands of humans. John Muir goes on to describe the loon as able to fly underwater as well as above it, and able to spear and capture the swiftest fishes for food. He was describing just two of the loon's many adaptations to living on lakes. Loons have a very long, black, spear-shaped beak that allows them to catch fish very easily. Now, some of you may have also tried to go swimming in our lakes or even our ocean when you've been here, and you probably found it's quite chilly. Loons have to stay on the lakes for most of their lives. They're on the water for most of their lives. And so they've developed two layers of feathers, a top coat that is waterproof and an undercoat of down that is very warm and thick. And this allows them to stay in the water without getting cold or catching hypothermia. Loons also have many special adaptations to dive underwater. Loons are excellent divers. They can dive up to 200 feet underwater and stay underwater for up to 5 minutes. This is often why you may see a loon dive and not see it come back up again during your visit. Some of these adaptations include the placement of their legs. Loons have large webbed feet, which of course allow them to swim in the water and dive down. But their legs are also positioned far back towards their tail, which allows them to get more power out of those legs to dive quickly. Loons also have air bladders, which allows them to compress the air in their bodies and make them heavier. And loons also have special adaptations to their bones. Most birds have hollow bones, which allows them to be lightweight and allows them to fly and take off very easily. Loons actually have solid bones, so one of the few birds that have these solid bones, and that makes them heavier and gives them more weight for diving. However, those bones and all that extra weight from the compressed air can cause some troubles when they try to take off. Loons need at least a half mile of open water to be able to take off into the air, much like an airplane needs a runway to be able to take off. Sometimes you may see a loon running along the top of the water and flapping its wings as hard and fast as it can so they can take off into the air and fly. Loons also spend most of their time directly on the shores of the lake if they are out of the water, because their legs do not allow them to walk very easily on land. So if you do see a loon outside of the water and it's away from a lake or an ocean area, you should call wildlife officials because it may be injured and may need some help getting back to a water area. Loon families also depend very heavily on lake habitat for survival. Loons mate for life, and they come back to the same lake every year to raise their young. If they end up being displaced and can't find a place to nest on that lake, they have to find another lake to nest on, which can take valuable time out of the mating and breeding season. They also both care for the nested eggs and chicks. Both parents will sit on the nest, they'll both hunt for food for their mate and for the chicks, and they both will guard the nest and draw away predators. When a loon spots what they think may be a predator, they will draw the predator away from the nest by making calls or by attracting them in other ways. However, this can also mean that if both parents leave the nest to draw away a predator, the eggs are left unguarded and are exposed to predators and the cold. Loons face many dangers from humans as well. Lakeshore development is one issue that loons are facing currently. As more people try to find beautiful areas to build camps or homes on, this removes valuable habitat that the loons use for their mating, their breeding, mating, raising their young, and their nesting. Loons also face a lot of risk from pollution. Pollution has lowered fish counts in many lakes across the United States, which is one of the prime sources of food for loons. Pollution also creates very murky water, so even if there are fish in the lake, loons can't see them well enough to be able to catch them. And finally, trash and fishing lines are left behind by visitors can get caught, can catch loons, or loons can eat the trash and die as well. Loons also are very shy creatures. They don't like being approached, they don't like being crowded. They can feel threatened very easily. Unfortunately, many people want to go and see a loon, they want to get close to them, and they want to be able to take some beautiful photos of them. However, loons often feel so threatened by people in kayaks or on shorelines or in boats that they will try to draw the people away from their nest because they think people are predators. They think they're going to harm their eggs. And this can often cause both parents to leave the nest, to try to draw these people away from their nests. So sometimes when a kayaker is trying to get a little bit closer to get that perfect photo, what they're actually doing is separating the loons from their nesting site and leaving those eggs exposed to predators and the cold. Also, noise pollution is a huge issue for loons. Because they're such shy creatures who prefer seclusion, loud noises can scare them away from their nesting sites. This is especially common during Memorial Day weekend and the 4th of July, when people are setting off a lot of fireworks on lake shores. And unfortunately, those fireworks can often scare loons away from their nests, and they won't return soon enough to protect those eggs or to keep them warm. Also, loud motorboats or loud visitors who are in kayaks or visiting on lake shores and enjoying themselves can cause loons to feel uncomfortable and leave their nesting sites. And unfortunately, for these reasons, many loon eggs do not make it to hatching. So what can you do when you're here in Acadia to protect these beautiful birds? There's actually some very simple things that you can do just being here for a few days or even just a day. One of those is just carrying out any trash and putting it into an approved trash can within the park, or carrying it outside of the park and putting it into a trash can. That way it's not left on the lake shores for any animals, especially loons, to get into. Also, if you do see a loon, admire them from a distance. Take photos from a distance and try to be quiet and calm around them. One great thing about this is that they will probably stick around a bit longer if you're quiet and view them from a distance, because they won't feel as threatened and they won't try to dive or get away from you. And even if they do try to leave the area or swim away, don't follow them. Just admire them from the distance and enjoy their beauty from the distance. And this will allow them to feel safe here at Acadia National Park. It will allow them to feel safe building their nest here and raising their chicks here. And then in future years, hopefully we'll have more loons that you can come back and enjoy. So I hope that I've been able to pass on some great knowledge about the loon adaptations that they have for living here in lakes in Acadia National Park. And as you can see, they face many threats even today in the form of lakeshore development, pollution, and unfortunately, their biggest admirers, humans. But you can do some very simple things to help loons survive. Be respectful of their space. Be conscientious of what you leave behind on lake shores. And also, be conscientious of the time that you spend on lake shores, your noise level, and what you're doing there. And if we all take the time to just be a little more respectful of loons and to admire them from a distance, then they'll be here for generations to come.